The 1942 P. Jefferson nickel holds a secret that links it directly to World War II. At first glance, it looks like a regular 5-cent coin, but there's something very different about it. In 1942, the United States was deep into World War II, and the country was facing a shortage of critical materials, including nickel. Nickel was needed to manufacture armor plating, weapons, and other wartime equipment. To help with the war effort, the U.S. Mint made a bold decision. They removed nickel from the 5-cent coin and replaced it with an alloy made of 35% silver, 56% copper, and 9% manganese. This new composition not only saved nickel for the war, but it also created one of the most interesting coin variations in American history. The 1942 Jefferson nickel was actually struck in two different versions that year. The first version, made early in the year, still used the regular copper-nickel composition and did not contain silver. But later, in 1942, starting in October, the Mint began producing the wartime nickels using the silver alloy. The Philadelphia Mint, for the first time ever, added a large P mint mark above Monticello on the reverse side of the coin to indicate that this was one of the new silver nickels. This was historic. The 1942 P. Jefferson nickel became the very first U.S. coin to bear a P mint mark from the Philadelphia Mint. More than 57 million of these 1942 P silver nickels were produced, making them relatively common in circulated condition. However, their silver content ensures they will always be worth more than face value. Even in worn condition, these coins typically sell for around $1.25 to $3 based on their silver melt value and market demand. In uncirculated condition, especially coins that have been well preserved with strong details, the value can rise significantly. Mint state examples graded between MS-60 and MS-65 usually sell for between $10 and $40. But the real treasure lies in high-grade coins, with what collectors call full steps on the reverse. The steps on Monticello are often weakly struck, so when they're fully visible and sharply defined, that coin becomes far more desirable. A full steps, 1942. P. Jefferson nickel, graded MS-67 or MS-68, can sell for several $100s or more. And at top-tier auctions, one even fetched over $1,500. 1944 P. Jefferson nickel is not just a regular 5-cent piece, it's a wartime coin made of silver, struck during one of the most critical years of World War II. This coin is part of the famous wartime nickel series, which were produced from late 1942 through 1945. During this time, the U.S. Mint made a major change to the nickel's composition, removing the usual 25% nickel and replacing it with an alloy that contained 35% silver, 56% copper, and 9% manganese. This was done to preserve nickel for the war effort, as it was a key material used in making military equipment like tanks, airplanes, and weapons. As a result, the 1944 P. Jefferson nickel, like other wartime nickels, has a distinct look, a special mint mark placement, and added value for collectors. The 1944 P was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and it's easy to identify because it features a large P mint mark placed directly above Monticello on the reverse side. This was the first time in U.S. coin history that the Philadelphia Mint used a mint mark on any coin, which adds to its historical importance. More than 119 million of these coins were minted, which makes it one of the more common wartime silver nickels in terms of quantity. However, its silver content ensures that even heavily circulated examples are still worth more than face value. In today's market, a 1944 P. Jefferson nickel in circulated condition typically sells for around $1.25 to $3, mostly due to its silver melt value, which depends on the current price of silver. Uncirculated examples with sharp details and original luster are worth significantly more. In mint state grades between MS-60 and MS-65, these coins can sell for $5 to $30, but the real value increases when the coin is certified in high grade and has what collectors call full steps detail. The full steps designation refers to the number of visible steps at the base of Monticello. If 5 or 6 steps are fully struck and unbroken, it significantly boosts the coin's desirability. A 1944p in MS-67 with full steps can sell for over $100, and some top-graded examples have crossed the $1,000 mark at auction. The 1944p is more than just a silver coin. It's a small piece of American wartime history. It represents a time when even our coinage was changed to support the fight for freedom. These coins circulated widely, from soldiers' paychecks to war bond purchases, and today they're reminders of the sacrifices made during World War II. So if you come across a 1944 nickel with a large P above Monticello, hold on to it. It's not just a nickel. It's a valuable relic of American resilience and a collectible coin with real historical and monetary worth. The 1983 D Roosevelt dime is a coin minted in Denver, part of the long-running Roosevelt dime series that began in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt. These dimes are composed of a clad composition, with an outer layer of 75% copper and 25% nickel, bonded to a pure copper core. The design features Roosevelt's left-facing portrait on the obverse with the inscriptions "Liberty, in God We Trust," the year 1983, and the D mint mark indicating it was struck at the Denver Mint. The reverse design features a torch in the center, symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch for peace and an oak branch for strength, along with the inscriptions United States of America, A Pluribus Unum, and One Dime. In terms of production, the Denver Mint struck over 536 million of these dimes in 1983, making them quite common in circulation. Because of this high mintage, the typical 1983 D Roosevelt dime found in pocket change or circulated condition generally holds only face value, 10 cents. However, uncirculated examples in high grades can carry some collector value. Coins graded MS-65 or higher by professional grading companies like PCGS or NGC may fetch between $2 and $5. In superb gem condition, especially MS-67 or better, values can rise to $20 or more, depending on demand and eye appeal. Exceptional specimens with brilliant luster, full bands on the torch, and minimal contact marks are most desirable to collectors. The full bands designation is an important feature for Roosevelt dimes. It refers to the horizontal bands on the torch being fully struck and separated, which indicates a strong strike from fresh dies. 1983. D. Roosevelt dimes with full bands are scarcer and can command a premium among specialists. Errors and varieties also increase a coin's value. While there are no widely known major varieties for the 1983 D dime, collectors still search for misstrikes, off-center strikes, doubled dies, and other mint errors which can raise the coin's worth significantly, sometimes to hundreds of dollars depending on severity and visibility. It's also important to note that no silver dimes were minted in 1983 for circulation. Silver Roosevelt dimes were last issued for general use in 1964. Therefore, any 1983 D dime found should be clad and not silver. In summary, the 1983 D Roosevelt dime is a historically standard modern coin with modest collector value in circulated grades, but uncirculated or error examples can be worth more to numismatists. Its value largely depends on condition, rarity of any potential error, and overall eye appeal, making it an interesting yet accessible coin for beginning collectors and enthusiasts of modern U.S. coinage. The 1978 D. Roosevelt dime was minted in Denver as part of the ongoing Roosevelt dime series that began in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt. Like all Roosevelt dimes minted from 1965 onward, the 1978 D is composed of a clad composition, which means it has a copper-nickel outer layer bonded to a pure copper core. This composition replaced the earlier 90% silver dimes that were last issued for circulation in 1964. The obverse of the coin features a left-facing portrait of President Roosevelt, with the inscriptions "Liberty," "In God We Trust," the date 1978, and the mint mark D for Denver. The reverse design remains consistent with other Roosevelt dimes, showing a lit torch in the center symbolizing liberty, flanked by an olive branch for peace and an oak branch for strength. Surrounding these are the inscriptions "United States of America," "A Pluribus Unum," and "One Dime." In terms of mintage, the Denver Mint produced approximately 746,512,000 Roosevelt dimes in 1978, making this coin extremely common. Because of this large mintage and the fact that these dimes were not struck in silver, a circulated example, especially one in no fine condition, meaning it has heavy wear and lacks sharp details, typically holds no extra collector value and is worth only its face value of 10 cents. Such coins are very common in pocket change and are usually not collected unless they exhibit unusual traits or errors. However, in uncirculated or mint state condition, the 1978 D. Roosevelt dime can have some collector interest. Coins graded MS-65 by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC can be worth around $2 to $5, while examples in higher grades, such as MS-67 or with a full bands designation, can reach values of $15 to $30 or more, depending on demand. The full bands designation refers to the horizontal bands on the torch, on the reverse being completely separated and clearly struck, indicating an excellent strike from fresh dies. This detail is prized by collectors. While the 1978 D dime does not have any well-known or widely recognized major varieties, collectors always examine these coins for mint errors such as off-center strikes, broad strikes, die clashes, or doubled dies. If such an error is visible and dramatic, it could raise the coin's value significantly, sometimes even into the hundreds of dollars depending on the nature and clarity of the error. In conclusion, the 1978 D. Roosevelt dime in no fine or heavily circulated condition is extremely common and worth only face value. It holds minimal interest to collectors unless it is in high mint state grades, has the full bands designation, or features a noticeable mint error. While not rare or particularly valuable in average condition, it remains a part of the modern coinage history of the United States and reflects the transition period of U.S. dimes from silver to base metal compositions during the 20th century.